coaching staff and myself and our players are excited about the road that we're about to go down together, starting Friday. You never feel as a coach that you're ever completely ready to start, but I'm anxious. We think we're as ready as we're going to be honest with you. And I think how we'll start learning more about what we need to do as coaches with this team is playing other competition. We've been playing each other all fall and all during the championship portion of our practices, and we knew the things that we had to work on, but I think those things will come out when we start playing other competition, what we have to do to be successful. One of the things I want to say right out of the gate is we're extremely excited, and I know there's a lot of people in this community that are excited, but our destiny will not be based off of this weekend. It won't be based off of game one. It won't be based off of what happens in the weekend series. Whether we win the series, whether we lose the series, we sweep or we get swept. You know what we all want, but this season won't be based off of that. Hopefully what it'll be is a building process throughout each weekend and each and every game that we play as a team. And I know one thing that my coaching staff and I take a lot of pride in is we want a team that's better at the end of the season than it was at the start. And I think being a coaching staff that's taken over a lot of new personnel, and it's all new personnel, they haven't disappointed us at all. But I think now that the games are starting, the lights go on for real, it starts counting for real, we'll start to figure out more about our personnel, and I think we'll have a better idea when we get into March and get into the SEC campaign on who's going to be the 9 guys that are playing every day and who are going to be the 6 to 8 top pitchers each and every weekend that we play. We'll play one game at a time. We have a philosophy and a theory. We're going to play one pitch at a time. And I said this last week, I think 2 obstacles we're going to have to overcome as a program is we're going to have to be able to handle success the right way, and we're going to have to handle failure when it comes our way. And both of those are going to happen throughout this year. And it's how we handle those 2 situations will determine our fate. We can't get too high and feel too good about ourselves when we do start having success, and we can't get too down on ourselves when we don't have success and we do have failures. It'll be a 55-game campaign that this coaching staff and this team will play every game or each game to its fullest every day. There's no 3-game series, and I know that's a cliche. We're going to play 55 one-game series, and we're going to try to bring it each and every day that we get the opportunity to be a baseball team and be on the field. What I think this coaching staff is proudest about is that this team has formed to be a team. We think we're going to compete together as one. We haven't been able to do that yet, maybe besides the Western Carolina game that we had in October. But we're excited about what's going to happen when we all come together as a team together in the same dugout. I think these guys I know this team is on the right page. They realize they feel this is as good as a team, and what I mean by team is a unit together that they've been on in the last few years, and that's important to know. We're going to battle, we're going to control our effort each day, and we're going to play the game extremely hard with some passion. And I think at the end of the day, that's all the community, our university, our alumni can ask of this team. I'll take questions.
In regards to learning that personnel specific with your starters, how much tinkering do you expect for these first couple of weeks, and how did you maybe settle on 3 guys for this weekend?
Well, I was just telling my coaching staff this morning, it kind of worked out, it worked its way out that the way we're going this weekend with Steckenrider, Godley, and Blunt are 3 guys that have pitched that have pitched in this program, that are returning guys. To say that'll be the case in a month, I wouldn't be against it. That means those guys are pitching extremely well. But what I think you're going to see is you're going to see a team that there's some young guys that when they get this opportunity, if they don't put the game bigger than it is, you're going to see some guys that have a chance to pass some guys, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing. As position players, it might not have been as tough, even though some guys are making it tough now. We have a rotation of about 10 to 12 guys, which isn't a lot, to be honest with you, but some guys that are really pushing other guys at positions. And we'll have to be creative at times. Some guys might have to play some positions that maybe they're not completely accustomed to. But I like the fact that there's some left-handed hitters that are starting to make some moves where we're not going to be as much as a right-handed hitting lineup as we might have been maybe a month ago when we looked down the road of what we may have.
You know, Godley's been a guy who's, I think, worked exclusively out of the bullpen a year ago. Well, what about did you see from him that translates to going out there and taking the ball with the first pitch?
Well, it kind of goes, it's a perfect answer to what I said from day one. We weren't going to judge guys, but we were going to base our decisions off of what we learned from him. Until today, when I read Cameron's release, I had no idea that he had never started at this university. So that's a good thing, because I didn't have that in my mind when I made that decision. That decision was based off of what he had done over the fall and what he's done over the last 3 weeks that we've practiced. I think over the fall, he was one of the more consistent guys with maybe a Nick Williams. But Nick Williams is going to be at the back of our bullpen, which I believe you need a lot of strength back there. And I've talked to Nick, and Nick's been probably the most consistent of anyone we've had. But notoriously, I want a guy at the end of the game that we can really trust. And if we get through a portion of our season and we're not using a closer to my liking of where we're using one of our top 3 pitchers, then I'll have to get Nick into a different role where he's helping our team.
Similarly, on Steckenrider, I mean, what'd you see out of him that makes you want to give him the ball to open the season on Friday?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Drew, I'm kind of basing it on potential a little bit, and I don't like to be that way. I'm hoping that Drew is able to perform to the level that what his level will take him. He is a guy that can pitch on Friday. He is a guy that can match up with some of the better guys in the SEC and guys around the country. It's just a matter of him being able to do it week in and week out. And so we'll see how we go with that. Drew, this program will never be based off of one guy, okay? But Drew Steckenrider could really help us with his ability, not only as a pitcher, but as a position player. He could really help us start making a move on the direction we want to go with this program.
Dave, did you learn anything over those scrimmages the last couple of weeks that you talked about the competition and guys maybe pushing that you weren't expecting from the team as a whole?
I don't know if we've learned anything. I do know that as each day passes, this coaching staff that has been around a lot of good teams, that's been around for a lot of years, are extremely excited about what we're about to go into. And maybe it has something to do with the uncertainty, that we're not aware yet of what we're in for. I do know that this team is going to play hard, and I think it's a very unselfish team, which is important. And those are things that are going to have to maintain itself throughout the year. I've said this early on. It's going to take a full roster of players, a full staff of coaches, each day being at our best to reach the potential of what we need to be. And that's a great challenge to have out in front of us. I made this comment the other day, and I don't want to speak for my coaches, but I think they feel the same way, that we've been at places that the expectations are higher right out of the gate, but I don't know if we've ever been more excited about what's going to start Friday. And that could tell you that we're pretty excited and feel honored to be leading this program now and a long time into the future, hopefully.
Coming out of those scrimmages, what was your biggest concern coming out, and what were you most pleased with?
Well, early on, I'm not going to lie, I think we were, as a coaching staff, and me especially because I'd run this portion, is the pitching. We were new, we were young, very inexperienced, not a lot of success from the past. But what I think you've seen is a pitching staff that has grown up within time. They're going to have another growing process when the season starts, too. Things are a little different when you're playing against another team. I don't like to consider it different, but they're going to make it different. And with the lights on, with hopefully thousands of fans in the stands cheering for us or cheering against us. So that was a concern early, but I think they've made strides. And I'm hoping that they continue to make strides, because I don't think, I will never disagree that it's going to take our pitching staff and our defense to succeed for us to be good. And that will be the case every year in this program. It's going to be a program based off of pitching and defense, and I think whatever offense we get with the kind of offense we run of up-tempo and pressured offense, it bodes well for success down the line.
Dave made reference to the higher expectations you might have had other places. With the SEC poll that came out, had you guys pegged last. Is that do you pay any attention to that? Do you put it in lockers as motivation? How did you react when you saw that?
Well, I pay attention to that. I would be lying to you if I didn't say I paid attention to it. I guess it is what it is. I would say from a coach's perspective of how they voted, they probably nailed it, because we haven't done anything to warrant anything differently. We've got some new players, a couple new players, but it's basically the same roster back with some subtractions. Got a new coaching staff, but none of that warrants us moving up in the polls. We have to show it on the field. And does it motivate us? Absolutely. But we're motivated as a coaching staff. We were voted first in the conference, and one day we will be down the line. There's no difference in motive. That's not something I'm going to post up in the locker room. The players are aware of that. I hope they're aware of that. If they're not, then they're not looking at the right things. But we want to prove it on the field. And that's you look at all the polls around the country, the Baseball Americas and all that, that's someone's opinion. And the game's still played on the field. And we get that opportunity 30 times in the SEC and 55 times over the course of the year. And my approach with my coaching staff's approach this year is every day that we suit up in a uniform, we get the opportunity to be the best team on the field that day. Well, we have a goal in mind every day. And we'll let people form the opinion as the season goes. But again, I'm not any more motivated, nor my coaches, whether we're picked first or we're picked last. We're going to go about it the same way. We're going to work hard every day. We're going to enjoy the success. We're going to keep working hard, whether it's success or failure throughout the season.
Aside from wins and losses, since you said this series this weekend doesn't define the season, what are you looking to find out about your team this weekend?
Well, I think there's some answers that we need to find out. We've only played against ourselves. So we want to see athletically how we match up against other teams out there. It's not Northern Illinois, really. It's not any team. It's about us. But we want to see how our guys react. And we'll, there'll be breakdowns through the course of the weekend. And then as a coaching staff, we'll have to go back and try to go back to the drawing board and fix some of those breakdowns. Right now, we kind of have a sense where our breakdowns have been, but it's not the real game yet. And I think we'll learn a little bit more as each weekend goes. And that's, I think, over the course of the whole season, every weekend we learn a little bit more about our team.